Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Reed and Malachi about the Villains of Valley View, which is going to be on Disney Channel June 3rd. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for your time.
Hello.
This is pretty cool, Malachi. I mean, it's one of those things where the landscape of like supervillains and superheroes is so big right now. Is it cool to kind of be able to work on a show where the landscape of it is so massive? We can't escape them. They're everywhere. Superheroes are everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's completely different than anything I've done before. I mean, I've never had to act and have to do a bunch of different shots to just create this one little transition from Colby to whatever object or person or animal he turns into. And I think it's something cool that I'm going to be able to add to my resume.
Reed, your character in the show has super strength. He's a strong guy. And I'm just curious because I know different kind of auditions. Some people know a lot, some people don't. Did you know that he was like the strong guy of the family? Like, were you aware of a lot of that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading the original breakdown. It definitely spelled it out for me that he had super strength, but there's a definite difference between Jake's super strength and then like Chaos super strength. Chaos super strength is like he holds nothing back. He can move mountains. Like he's so unbelievably strong. Mm-hmm. Whereas Jake is kind of like a dude who's living in a house made of glass. He's holding back constantly because at the slightest touch he could break things, and he doesn't want to be that guy. So to play that and have that duality is really, really fun. Because sometimes he needs to cut loose, and sometimes that gets the better of him, and he gets that rush of being a villain again. And so it's always changing, it's always adapting, and the strength is constantly something that he needs to control.
Absolutely. Malcolm, I find this interesting because this is not your first Disney Channel project, but I feel like this is your first Disney Channel project where worlds are colliding a little bit. You have this family sitcom with kind of the worlds of like superheroes and everything. How are you processing this kind of combination of, it's like a family sitcom, but there's action, there's costumes, there's effects, like there's a lot happening.
I mean, man, it is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. It reminds me of a lot of the shows that I used to watch when I was, I don't want to say young because I'm still young, but when I was my younger self, it reminds me a lot of those shows like Wizards of Waverly Place, and somebody else brought up Incredibles, which like had never been mine, but that's like, it's pretty similar. Yep. But no, I think it's cool. I think it's an interesting story for this family of supervillains to come to this new place and have to be, as we would like to call it, normal, and have to learn how to adapt to these good, normal lives.
Oh, absolutely. Reed, before we wrap up quickly, when they get to watch it, what are you hoping to get out of it, takeaway wise? I mean, it's a fun show, so that's obvious.
I mean, yeah, I hope people have as much fun watching it as we did making it, and I really hope that they get the heart of the show, and then they really see that this family comes a long way from acting like selfishly and as villains to come to rely on each other and have a loyalty and a love that wasn't there before. And they grow as people, and experiencing having to hide out, they learn to be their own people. Like they're not just villains, like they have lives. And so to understand that and learn the different perspectives of where these villains are coming from is something I really hope that people latch onto and they relate to the characters. I would really love to see that.
Very well said. Thank you both for your time. Disney Channel is going to be premiering June 3rd on Disney Channel. Thank you both for your time. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
PD Beats here from Popternative. You do Isabella and Kayden about the Villains of Valley View, coming to Disney Channel on June 3rd. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
A little bit of a tongue twister, eh? A lot of V's in that title.
Oh yeah, we went through a lot of title changes. So.
Yeah, no, it's just that's the first thing that came about. It's like do the intro.
I know.
I feel like I kind of screwed up, but I said it, so it's all good. This is cool. I mean, super villains, Isabella. I mean, that culture now, geek culture, combo culture, it's so big right now. What's it like to work on a show where the culture is so big right now, Isabella?
I mean, to be honest, it feels amazing. And I
Yeah.
think one thing that's so interesting about the show is that these characters were created out of thin air. You know, it's not based on a comic book. And as much as I do love comics, I think that it's really interesting to work on a show about superheroes and supervillains that's not derived from a story that already exists. Because a lot of the time, you know, it's an adaptation. Whereas with this, we can kind of go anywhere we want. And I think that that's really cool. And it's definitely something different for me. You know, I'm used to working in London on more drama and single cam shows. And this is comedy, multicam stunts and action and supervillain. So it's just a dream. It feels unreal. And I love every minute of it.
Kayden, what's the first, you know, you get cast, you're going to be on this show, you know, supervillains. What's like the first thing that comes to mind diving into the worlds of supervillains, like when you're cast?
Awesomeness.
Yeah.
That's literally the one word that I could say. Like, this whole experience has been so cool, so awesome to be a part of. Like, all the stunts, all of the jokes, all of the action that we get to do, you know, it's been amazing. And that's all I can really say.
Is it one of those things that, Isabella, when, you know, it's coming out on the 3rd and everything, you've been working on this a while. I mean, even seeing the trailer, like, it is a lot, you know, a family of supervillains and everything. Like, are you prepared for the audience to kind of have to soak so much in right away?
I don't even think I've soaked it in, so I won't blame them if they can't. I mean, I was in shock, especially when they showed me the trailer and I was having to do the voiceover for it. I could barely contain my excitement. I was so excited. They were like, no, you need to sound villainous and, you know, cool. I was like, I'm sorry. It's amazing. And I think that the show is so cool, and the way that it goes and the storyline that's coming, I don't think people are going to expect it at all. And I think that it's a lot cooler than anyone's anticipating. Even though it looks cool from the trailer, like, trust me, when you get into the actual storyline, it's crazy.
Kayden, I find it interesting to kind of add to what Isabella just said. I mean, it's like a tag team a little bit, where at the end of the day, like, super villains and all that, absolutely, the action, like you said. But at the end of the day, it's a family sitcom, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like two worlds colliding a little bit. Kayden, what's that like for you, those two worlds colliding a little bit?
You know, it's kind of funny because you wouldn't expect it, that it'd be able to work, but it really does. And, you know, I mean, there's nothing really expect. For some reason, it just works, and the way that we do it, it's so much fun. And yeah, I mean, there is villains and everything, but there's also these parts in the episode where there's a lot of heart-to-heart moments, you know, and situations that people can learn from, you know. And I think it really shows that, you know, not everybody's perfect. You know, we're all human. We make mistakes, and being a villain, that's, I feel like, exactly the definition of that, you know?
100%. I wanted to thank you both for your time. And June 3rd on Disney Channel, The Villains of Valley View is going to be premiering. I didn't mess that up this time, so that's great. Thank you both for your time. Seriously, it was great chatting with you.
Thank you so much. It's great to meet you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.